All right, guys, let's check out this Glycine Airman gl0146, or the Pumpkin Airman. So big thanks to two guys actually over in my Discord group. Ed for buying this from John, and then somehow I was able to snag it in the transition and check it out before it gets sent to the new owner. So thanks to both of you guys for allowing me to check it out. So let's get right into this guy and see what we have. Of course, we just talked about the model number. That's a typical model number for Glycine. They actually kind of keep them short and easy. If you are a Glycine collector, you're probably going to be able to remember those numbers. They're even shorter and easier than, say, like what Seiko does and everything. But so that part is kind of nice. The other thing they kind of name them is, you know, on this one, it's going to be a Glycine Airman. The sst-12, I think is what it's called. It'll be on the case back, and it's a Purist model, so it has a 24-hour track, and then you set your other time zone with an inner rotating bezel instead of the outer one on the more traditional type Glycine Airman. So as you can see, you have a screw down crown here, and then you have this crown, this one here, that almost looks like it has like a coin slot in it. Rotates that inner bezel, and it's pretty stiff. Like it's you know, you can maybe do it with your fingernail if you have one, or a little coin or something, but you can, because there's not really traction on the outside of it, so which is good. It's less likely to get bumped or deviate from its timekeeping. Now it's going to take some getting used to using a 24-hour watch, because you know it's set at 10 right now for the hour. Well, that's 10 a.m. because it's indicated AM PM, and then it'll go around. It just keeps going all the way. Once you get used to it, it's actually a lot easier, because now not that it's difficult to tell AM or PM in most environments, but occasionally you might have a difficult time doing that. All right, now we got way sidetracked on that. Let's get back to the watch size, because I usually start with that. The case on this, I measure it like 42.5. I've noticed some measurements claim 43. Depends on how you measure it. You might be able to grab 43 if you measure full diagonal, but from side to side, it's more like 42.5. The lug to lug on this guy, 46.5-ish, maybe a little less than that. You can see it has a nice curve to the case. There you go. Fully polished on the sides, brushed on the top. It's only 11 millimeter thick, flat sapphire crystal up top. Nice clean case back here, flat sapphire. And if you look, the bezel that's around there actually has, it's not an octagon, but it has, like, you know, the flat sides. So it looks like it could almost be turned, but it's not. 22 millimeter lug width here. Now, when it comes to the straps and bracelet that this one was shipped with, I couldn't find any exact matches for the gl0146 that showed the mesh, two-piece mesh, but I really like that on this watch. This one also has a black and orange stitched leather strap. Again, I really couldn't find any information on these combos. They usually showed it on like a different leather strap. 7 millimeter oversized screw down crown. You're going to have 200 meter water resist. The watch weighs in with this metal strap at about 140 grams, 140 gram. So if we unscrew the crown here, you get a pop here, and the winding of it here is very smooth. And at the end of the video, I will drop in a picture I took of this movement, because I couldn't find any information on what the movement was that's inside this, because it is actually really thin, which led me to believe that it was maybe a ETA 28 series or the Sellita SW330 series or something like that, which I did discover in this one. It is a Sellita SW330, and it is running at +2 seconds dial up on the time grapher. It's a great looking movement. They have a custom rotor in there and everything. You'll see the picture at the very end. So as you unscrew that and you adjust the time, so this is where it gets a little tricky, right? Because that's noon, right? So normally that'd be 6 o'clock on a regular watch. That's noon. So it just gets a little weird is all. It's not super difficult to do, but you know, you can adjust it to whatever time you need it to be, and then go ahead and start that off, and just know that you're going to be AM PM on this, and not 12-hour rotations. It's maybe more difficult going back and forth. A lot of us will change out our watches midday and stuff like that. That might screw you up a little bit. But I think really great looking watch. I think there's another colorway, at least one other colorway. I like this one with the orange chapter. No surprise there, I suppose. But just a great looking watch. If we zoom in, we can get a closer look at that. You can see a nice polished handset. So what they've done, and the reason it's a Sellita SW330 or an ETA 289, whatever, is because it is the quote GMT style movement, but it's a forward only 24-hour hand. They basically, if you look at the hand stack, basically they just don't place the 12-hour hand. So they have the 24-hour hand, the minute hand, the second hand. They just exclude the 12-hour hand. It's the same movement that does the non-purist, where it has more, the 12 and the 24-hour hand. So pretty simple solution, really. You get the same results, just don't bottleneck it with a 12-hour hand. And it really opens them up because they could do other dials and they could have it where it has both and all that good stuff. So I think it's pretty cool. Great finishing on this. Very cool case back. The loom on this kind of sucks. I'll show you the loom here in a moment. Here's another thing that I'm actually not a huge fan of, and I don't know if I can do it on camera, but to get this on wrist is, I didn't do too bad there. It can be a little tricky. You always feel like you're going to drop it, so you have to be careful there, but super comfortable on wrist. These case shapes, are these called like a Tourneau type case shape or something like that? I think that's what they're called, maybe not. But super comfortable. Nice weight to it. 140 is totally fine. It balances out with the metal. I'm sure it'd be fine on the leather, but I like this mesh. This is really nice. And it's a non-tapering mesh, so it's 22 all the way, and then just a simple. But you got to be careful. You got to hold one side or the other because it could just fall off. So that is one downside. It'd be kind of nice if I had like a fold-over clasp and stuff. Maybe you can rig that up. I don't know. But the one good thing about this is it's basically infinite adjustable. You just pop that up with a screwdriver and you can slide this and dial it right in and then just lock that down. So that part is really good. All right, let's kill the lights, check the loom on this. Before we do that, actually, I want to show it next to an SKX because lug to lug on it's very similar, but it's way thinner and has a really nice, fun case shape to it. Not something you're going to see typically in the wild. You're not really going to see one of these. So when you do, as we are, full-on watch enthusiasts, when we're wristwatch spotting out there in the wild, something like this is probably going to catch one of our attention, right? We're going to be like, what is that? Because we just don't see them ever. All right, here's the loom, or lack of. I mean, they tried, right? There's a little bit of loom there, and it's actually two different colors, as you can see, of the probably C1 or C3. I'm guessing C1 on the hour, minute, second. And then on the loom plots all the way around the dial is basically BGW9, but a really light application. So once your eyes adjust to it, it's there, you can see it, but I suspect it'll fade pretty quick and it's not very potent to begin with. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next vid, and here's a picture of the movement.